I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilwoman Shaw.
Did you
Please
call
lead us.
Congress?
I almost called her Congresswoman, yeah.
You don't
Sorry.
want that. Heavenly Father, we come to you with humble hearts and we ask you to give us wisdom as we make decisions that will affect our community. We ask you to bless and protect our employees, police officers, and first responders, and we thank you. We thank the members of the military, both past and present, and ask that you keep them safe. Father, we also pray for our council person, Hazel. She is in the hospital. She's doing better, and we pray that she'll continue to improve and get home soon. Lord, we pray that we will always be aware of your guidance in everything that we do. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
As you heard, Councilwoman Bennett will not be here this evening. She's doing better, though.
Do we need to make a motion to excuse her?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll make a mid-motion to excuse Councilwoman Bennett.
Second.
Balzer,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Balzer,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Bills?
I'll make a motion for bills.
I'll second.
Balzer,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Hourly workers' time report. Should have one. We got, fireman's time.
Make a motion.
Second.
Balzer,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Okay. You're up, clerk. Clerk, right? This is-
I did go on the computer and I tried to pull up, foundation for cemetery bases, and the closest I came was a company in Pennsylvania. I did see where there's a company out of, down towards Martin's Ferry, that will make small bases for you, just a couple inches thick, and you have to go pick them up and bring them back. I did talk with Mr. Alan Graber today in regards to the documentation he sent us, and I think I gave everybody the latest copy of what was sent out to all their customers. We got one also, with the 70-cent fee on it. With that, I was correct at the last meeting. We charge $199.95 to put in a vet marker. This cost will be $448. It's an increase of $248.05 that we would be in turn billing the funeral homes or the customer direct. We would not absorb those costs, we would be billing it out. We still need to get, do we have the third person yet, Mayor, for the cemetery?
I can get two more, I think.
I mean, we just need to get that rolling because I'm really afraid of getting,
I have Brittany Richards and Derek.
okay, a question for you on the employee that's retiring. Your opinion on if you'd like to uncover some cost to get the gentleman, maybe buy lunch for the employees, a cake and a gift card or something. I'm thinking altogether, I'm gonna say 34 years, but I don't know. That could be how long Rick's been here. I just lost track of all the years. What would you like us to do, if anything? We thought we'd bring it to you before we spend any money out.
What kind of money do you wanna do? What kind of money do you want, Debbie?
It's just for a pizza and stuff like that.
No band or alcohol this time. We were thinking maybe ordering some pizzas from Pizza Ovens, only because it's open on Monday, because it's his last day, it's Monday the 28th. Ordering a cake and maybe getting him a gift certificate for dinner.
So we, like,
The cost,
probably, yeah, it doesn't, yeah.
probably be under $100, I'm not sure, but we wanted to, I talked to Jim, we wanted to run it by you, your opinion of it.
I mean, I'll make a motion to do that, you know, $100. Don't see any reason that should be an issue.
I actually think it would be a little more than that.
You think? 'Cause
I think.
I didn't really price
Do you
anything.
mean total, like including the pizza and the
The
dinner
gift.
gift certificate?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about the certificate, I was thinking
Oh.
of
Oh,
the cake.
yeah,
I'm-
dinner out's gonna be more than that.
Yeah,
Pizza's at least $20 a piece.
yeah,
A piece, like a piece of pizza?
no, a whole
Large
pizza.
pizza.
And feeding all the guys, yeah, I know. You wanna go 200 and we'll just be frugal?
Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay, John?
Yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, have a motion by Hartman, second? I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Walter,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Thank you. We need, Mayor, one more person for the fire dependency fund. We have all our people, we have the fire people, we have to have that outside resident.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't think of it to pull the paperwork to show you today. If you want to check that for me.
Yep. Can get somebody to do that.
And, other than the legislation, we have the second reading of resolution number 2201. Oh, sorry, an ordinance, number 2201, an ordinance to authorize the annexation of contiguous territory owned by the Village of Beach City, Ohio pursuant to RC 709.14, annexing the cemetery into the actual corporation limits. And I lied, that is your third reading. So what we do is we need a motion to pass it.
John,
I'll make a motion.
a second.
Balzer,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Deb, could you give me a certified copy of that? Send it to me.
Do I want to certify it with the village stamp?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it, just anytime this week, and then I can go forward. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know who was to take it down or what we had to do with it.
I think in the ordinance, it's on me.
Oh. Okay, I have the third reading of ordinance number 2202, an ordinance to amend section 2B of ordinance number, which is the last payroll ordinance, establishing salary, hourly rates of pay, and benefits for positions in the service of the Village of Beach City. What we did is we did a correction on the cemetery sexton, and it didn't get included in the raises. It went from 2,000 to 2,995.20. That'll be the third reading.
I'll make the motion.
I second.
Balzer,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
No.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Okay, we have the second reading of ordinance number 2203. It's an ordinance making the permanent appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the Village of Beach City, State of Ohio, during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022. We can either suspend the rules and pass it because I have the emergency measure on it, or we can continue and have the third reading. Has everybody looked at this? I just didn't know. It's only the second reading of it.
Last meeting.
We have the second reading of ordinance number 2204, an ordinance approving, adopting, and enacting the American Legal Publishing's Ohio Basic Code 2022 edition.
Do you know how much that is?
The cost of that,
Yeah, I know it's always, I'll talk to you.
yeah, check with me tomorrow, because I'll have to pull it up. I know, I think it came in with the books.
What was the previous ordinance number?
This one
I
was,
wasn't done talking.
2204 was the American Legal Publishing,
Previous to that
No,
was.
before that.
2203.
03, and that was the one for the permanent appropriations. It goes on the books. Okay. I went back and looked up the previous ordinance that the solicitor did for us and changed actually the date, the effective date for, it's ordinance number 2205. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the Village of Beach City, Ohio to execute legal services agreement with the City of Nassau Law Department effective January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. I put the urgency if you want to pass it, if not, it'll be your first reading. We have the first reading of ordinance number 2206. It's an ordinance waiving the residency requirement for the position of village administrator. On this, I was wondering if council wants to add the fiscal officer to this. Because they're supposed to also be residents, I believe, of the village. So do we want to do separate ones or add it, or do you want to just come back to this soon? It got late in the day and I don't want to keep bothering you.
Well, the only hangup that I'd see with that is we do not yet have a fiscal officer.
No.
So I don't know how we waive if we don't yet have the position. You know what I mean?
So leave it this and then, okay, so this will be your first reading,
Then we'll do a separate one.
separate one for that.
There.
And, okay, there's one more. It's the third reading of a resolution to authorize the mayor of the Village of Beach City, Ohio to execute dispatch contracts with the Regional Emergency Dispatch Center. It is a resolution, number 2202 would be your third reading.
Make a motion.
Balzer,
Yep.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
And thank you. That is it.
Let's see. Got visitors down the agenda, some,
Yes, Mr. Gary Singer.
Good evening, council. Main reason I'm here tonight is just to ask why the videos haven't been videoed, but I see since I've got here, you guys got a video up for the residents. I think we all appreciate that, but I was wondering why the other ones weren't recorded.
So, at the time, I was the one who was in control of the videos, and at the time, I was a citizen of the village. It had nothing to do with council in any way, shape, or form. Those videos, things happened, issues happened with the iPad, I lost them. Couldn't do anything with them, there was no way to retrieve them, I had to completely reset the iPad, and we actually had quite a few meetings where we didn't have anything. So that is the reason why.
Okay,
If you
fair
notice
enough.
that the majority of the videos now are coming back up constantly now.
I think the last one I seen was the 17th.
Correct, I haven't had a chance to get
Okay.
last week's or 2 weeks ago's up, but that's,
Okay,
there's
well,
that.
I appreciate that, and a lot of other people do too, but just, it's just kinda, I mean, I know you're doing out of your kind of just your heart or whatever you're doing it for, but somebody's gotta do it. And I do appreciate you doing that, and the residents appreciate you doing that. I wouldn't even be here tonight if it would've been, you know, if the other ones would've been recorded.
Okay.
And,
Well, now, I will say that there is no rules or regulations or laws stating that we have to do it,
I'll come up and do it.
so I'm just saying,
You
I'm
don't,
just
you don't want
stating
me,
that-
you don't want me up here.
Mr. Singer, I'm just stating that up until the previous mayor, we never did it. We don't necessarily have to do it. I do it out of the goodness of my heart. If something happens, I apologize. I'm trying to keep it up as much as I possibly can, but I'm human. I, miss things, forget things, accidents happen.
No, that's fine.
So,
But the residents just wonder why, I just wanna let them know, and, honestly, you guys all know me, and, I've seen many major issues in this community, I've been complaining for years, and I do wanna thank council for actually looking into them and trying to solve some of these problems. For the first time, for 15 years, I can honestly say that I trust my council. And I wanna thank you for that, and, I'm not here to bitch tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks for that.
We got a nice
Thank you,
letter
Gary.
from Amazing Grace Ministries. Dear Mayor and council members, I'd like to say thank you from the members of Amazing Grace Ministries for the $100 check we received again this year. We will again use the funds for our mission projects. Lyndon Myers, Secretary Tripp. That was from Christmas time. All right, fire. Oh,
So I apologize, I haven't been here much since the new year. My schedule's been hectic and not cooperating with council the way I hoped it would, and sometimes there just ain't much for me to bring up, so I let John do it. But calls year to date, so far this year, we've had 37 calls. As of the same date in 2021, we've had 40, so we're running neck and neck with last year. Mutual aid summary from February 8th to February 21st. Give mutual aid to Brewster 1 time, receive mutual aid from Brewster 5 times. Now, that's a little misconceiving. Generally, these would be EMS calls that we did not cover. This is not the case. So in the last 3 or 4 days, we have had 4 ice water rescues. When the road closed sign is on the road, that is meaning the road's closed. Don't drive around it and drive into the water. It's not gonna go well.
Did all 4 of them happen up there?
We had 2 at 93 at Wanakee. We had 1 at Lawndale, which is, I'm sure you guys know where Lawndale is. And we assisted Brewster with 1 mostly because it come in as Lawndale and 93. And that was at just south of Hilltop or Hillview Mobile Home Park, right there where it flooded at 93. So we have to tone Brewster for them. If it be summertime, we have a boat. We have everything we need. Unfortunately, when it's ice water, we do not have the resources to do that. Brewster does. I've looked in, after talking with Mr. Balzer the other day, I've looked into the prices of doing some of that. It's just so expensive to get all the gear we would need, do the training we would need, and Brewster's 5 minutes up the road. Is it really valuable for us to do it? I really don't think it is. If we had somebody interested, I would definitely look into it. But I don't know too many people jumping up and down saying, hey, pick me to go into the ice water. So, but that's why our mutual aid kind of looks the way it does. It like I said, generally would be EMS, this not so much the case. So 4 of these calls were ice water rescues where we had to call them. So we were there too. So, as far as the compressor and the cascade system, I had John go over. So the compressor was delivered. We sent pictures to the company and everything of the compressor wired in by Wood. Even through all the pictures, nobody caught it. The installer come in to install it. It was almost done being installed, and he went to do the warranty paperwork, and he says, we got a problem. This is not the right compressor. How we got that far into it, I have no idea. It is what it is, I guess. The compressor is at Air Breathing Systems as we speak. They are bringing it, excuse me, a week from today. It is coming to be installed. I asked for it to be postponed till then so I can be there with it. They are bringing it, they are going to install it, they are going to rewire it because we had a cost in wood coming down to wire it the first time. They are going to cover it this time because it was their mistake. So hopefully as of next Monday, our compressor and our Cascade system should be up and running, which is great, we need it, and that's where we stand. The brush truck is still at MPI. He did call me the other day. He said that everything wiring harness went back together. The truck was still stalling out. He called me the other day. He said he narrowed it down to an ABS sensor. I didn't realize that that could even do that, but he says that it did. And I talked to Casey, who's pretty good at stuff, and he actually said he had a truck do the same thing. So the ABS sensor is supposed to be in on Wednesday. They have discontinued that part through Ford. We had to get it off of eBay. It's supposed to be here Wednesday. I hope the truck is back in service by this time next week. It's been up there since November. It's been up there since Thanksgiving. So, and honestly, that's what pulls our boat. That's what does a lot of stuff that we would be doing here in the last few days, and we just don't have it. I mean, it hasn't hurt us. We could always pull the boat with a private vehicle, but you know, when the water's the way it is, we can't put our boat in it anyway. I mean, it's just useless. So. Currently, and we've talked about this before, me and Dale, and we're going to bring this up more at our business meeting next Tuesday, we want to seriously start looking into staffing or stipending at least a person. I know we've talked before about getting Mark, the police officer, the full-time police officer, his EMR. That would be tremendous if we could do that. That would give us a driver during the daytime. I know he's here to be a cop, but on the other hand, if we're not getting our squad out the door, that's money out of our pockets also, and not even money out of the pockets, I hate to say it that way. It's our residents being delayed care because we're waiting on somebody to get here. That's the biggest thing. If we could do that, and we could stipend one other guy, we would have a crew during the daytime. I don't know the cost. I want to go to my guys and say, hey, what is appealing? Is what do you want to even consider doing this for a 12-hour block? And then we need to go from there. If they're saying $200, then obviously we're going to say forget it, you know. But I think our guys would be willing to do this fairly cheap. We have plenty of EMTs that would be able to do it, but they would have to be in our area. So it's in the very early stages. Ultimately, it's like I talked to Sean the other day. Our answers to our problems are one of two things. We either figure out a way to provide a crew to our community, or we consider going to a district. And that is something I don't really want to do, simply because I don't think it won't be set up in our favor. Let's just say it that way. It'll be set up to advantage of maybe other communities in the township. And I mean, no disrespect, I love our mutual aid departments, but obviously they would have the upper hand when we would start planning this, and I don't think we want that. I think we want our department to stay here. So this is why we're going out, this is why we're looking at these things. And throughout the course of this year, we really want to get involved, and we really want to try to get something where we can get a crew, especially in the daytime, throughout the week, especially in the daytime. So, real quick, I want to thank the Beach City Police Department. They've been out on several of our calls with us. Mark's been right beside us on the water rescues. They've been great. We appreciate them coming out. They come out. We had a MVA the other day with 4 patients. They were right out there behind us, helping us out. We got a great police department. We appreciate all the guys in our police department. We appreciate all the help and the support that they give us, especially on runs. So just a few things. We did receive a training reimbursement grant in the amount of $274.60. I filed that grant. That was actually to reimburse us for sending Corey to fire school. So with chasing these grants, it's a lot of time on me, but it is also beneficial to us. It gets us money back. So ultimately, we sent him to fire school for free, which this is Corey, by the way. He don't look nothing like me, so you'd never know he's my boy. But Corey and Dustin are both, this Wednesday will be their last EMT class. They will take their skills, and then depending how they do with skills in class, they will go to registry. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that here in the next few weeks we'll have 2 more EMTs on the roster. So what I give you guys a copy of, I do this every year, and I'm late because I haven't been here. This is our 5-year plan. I do a 5-year plan every year, I update it every year, and the reason I give you the last 4 years, and I kind of do this spiel every year, we do things unorthodox in a lot of ways throughout the year, and everybody looks at me like, you just throw a dart at the dartboard. That's not the case. We plan years in advance of where we are, where we're going, where we want to be, okay? So as you go through these 5-year plans, you'll see in red what we've been able to purchase, and as the next year comes around, it drops off, and we obviously add new things. So with this year's 5-year plan, we're looking at a new rescue pumper. The reason for that is our rescue is 28 years old, our backup engine is over 30 years old. It's time for both of them trucks to go. This is going to be a grant that we're trying to get. It'll be Ohio First Responders, who wrote our grant last year, will write it for us. It's a shot in the dark whether we can do it or not, but ultimately in the future, I'm not saying this year or maybe not next year, we're gonna have to seriously consider replacing these 2 trucks. I mean, they're at that age. That's why I wanna go down to 1 truck. Number one, manpower don't always permit us to take 3 trucks out the door. That is why we're heading for 1 truck. And I mean, you're talking a price tag, if I had to guess, about $750,000 to replace that 1 truck. If we were to replace both, obviously you would double that, and that's insane. So that's why we're looking at 1. Obviously, a new ambulance, that is probably one of my top priorities right now. Our 135 is 20 years old, it's a 2003. The 14 is already showing its age. I hate to say that. When we bought the 14, we went as cheap as we could, obviously, because we had to do what we had to do. So the 14 is not holding up the way that 03 held up, I will tell you that. If we get 20 years out of that 2014, I would be shocked. So an ambulance is definitely on my top of my list of what we need to get replaced soon. I'd like to see us do that. I know both loans will be paid off in 2024. I would like to see us start looking at that in the near future and get our ducks in a row so when the money's freed up, we can move. So a new ambulance, I'm gonna guess Brewster just ordered a brand new ambulance. They were at about $250,000. I'm gonna guess you're gonna be in that ballpark, maybe a little higher by the time we order. Just to throw that number out there. I mean, it's definitely doable. It's gonna hurt, but it's definitely doable. And then you can go down through the other stuff. The other stuff is more reasonably priced. Obviously, a Gator, if anybody's been over, we have an ATV, it's outdated. I mean, it's served its purpose, we've definitely got our money out of it, but it's time for stuff like this to start being replaced. And you guys can look at that. Then the other thing I give you is our mutual aid box alarm. I update these every year. And this is gonna look like gibberish to you guys, but this goes to Red Center. Then when we have a fire in the respective area, whether it be the Village of Beach City or the township that we cover, we'll tell them, hey, get us our first box, get us our second box, and then this is who they're gonna start dispatching for us. Like I talked with Sean the other day, there is areas in this village that even though we are have hydrants, they will not support a structure fire. They just will not. We'll have to initiate a tanker shuttle. I can tell you the southeast side of town, which is even where I'm at, is probably one of the worst, unfortunately. And we would have to initiate a tanker shuttle and start trucking water in. So that's why you see what you do. I update this every year. And like I said, generally you guys would have had this in January, and I haven't been here until now. So other than that, I do not have nothing else fire department related, unless you guys got something for me.
Well, nice to see you, Bill.
Thank you.
It really is.
I do have to respectfully request, and I know I'm a pain in the butt, our water pressure is down to almost nothing. I am getting more air through my lines than I am water. I was seriously hoping with the weather today that I would come home and see somebody digging, and unfortunately we did not. So
At your house?
yes, and I know I'm out of order in the meeting, and I'm just bringing it up. It's in bad shape. I got everybody lined up on my end to replace my line from the curb in if that's the problem. But unfortunately, I know when Lonnie come down and went to shut that off for leak seekers, he thought he broke the valve. So we don't even know if we can shut the water off to the house. So that's why we're waiting on our end for you guys to do your end. So, but it's gotten bad. It's actually gotten worse over the last week and a half. I mean, it's down to practically nothing. So I know everybody's busy. I'm not trying to complain or be a pain in anybody's side. But
Oh,
Bill,
Can I ask him a question?
Sure can.
Bill, the contractor that you're working with, is it that Emer?
It is, yes. Yes, Dion is going to do the digging, and then Greg, I believe his name was Greg Winkhart, is going to plumb it. I believe that's who it was. Am I wrong in saying that name?
He's a plumber.
Okay, it's probably him. They're working together. Dion was the one that suggested him, he just digs, and I believe it was Greg that does everything else. But we can't get them in until the village is ready to go on their end, that's why we're just kind of trying to get by, but it's getting harder and harder day by day. So wherever it's leaking, it's definitely not getting any better, we know that, so. And that's all I got.
All right, thanks, Bill. Chief Guy. You're up, sir.
Alrighty, couple things, we've got the vests ordered for the officers that are looking for vests. Debbie, I'll be getting a hold of you for that, you guys will see a, payment coming through for that, that's gonna be a reimbursement grant. I believe it's 75, 25%, I think the officers, I have to look through my paperwork, officers gonna pay a portion of it, village gonna pay a portion of it, then that grant's gonna cover everything else, they're $1,000 vest, and I believe the village's cost is gonna be $125. Somewhere right around in there. So we're gonna get those vests. They are on order. I've gotta finish the paperwork to get the Debbie for the purchase order to give the Akron uniform where they were ordered out of. And we'll get that taken care of. Last meeting I spoke to you guys regarding our computers and possibly needing a GPS to put the CAD system in our cars. We got the CAD system on a few of the computers right now. It's being tested. It appears that our computers already have GPS built into them. So that's gonna help. So we're testing them now, seeing how they're working. The guys seem to really like it. If they're able to communicate with the other departments around us, they're able to see their calls, see what the units are, talk to the dispatchers. So it's definitely a good thing for us to have, is bring it up to date a little bit. We are testing out a free program right now that we can get through the state, that we can run plates in the cruisers, and it will bring up the person's ID. The only downfall is I'm told it's not quite up to date with where Leeds is at, which is Leeds is the operating system we use it's nationwide to run people and find out all their history. However, it's still a good tool because it's gonna have, for the most part, give us an ID. If we're trying to ID someone, they're giving us false information, we can verify it through there. I am looking at putting leads in our cars. There's an expense involved with that. So we're gonna test out the free version first. We're gonna see if that works out for my guys, because we can still call, we have access to leads through dispatch. It's just not right there in the cars. So we're trying the free version out first, see if that's gonna work for us. And if it doesn't, then we'll have to go to the next step. There's, you got a fee, we got multiple audits that come with that, more trainings. So I'm trying to keep it simple, per se. I have received 3 applications for people wanting to work for us. I completed background on 1, and he's gonna get a no thank you letter, and the other 2 are working on the background on. So I'll probably be bringing them to you guys for next meeting, just for you guys to meet them, and the mayor swear menu, that's what I do. If any one of you guys would like to have an interview with one of them or both of them, let me know. Generally, I do the interview, we do the whole process back there. Bring them in, let them say hi to the mayor, and then they get sworn in and meet you that night. If there's any other way you guys want to do it, just let me know.
Now, what, are these gonna be auxiliary officers?
They'll be part-time officers.
Part-time.
And the other big thing is, make sure you guys are checking, I said this last meeting, it's still cold out, check on your elderly residents. It's, I hate for someone to get injured or hurt or something happen and then lay there for a while, so make sure you guys are, keep an eye on your residents, let me know. And then, other than that, I think should be in pretty good shape.
2 for 2 and 1 money request.
Oh, yeah, that's.
I was actually gonna throw that out there, but you caught it, so
We got you.
you're on top of it.
Fire department, I appreciate the thanks and everything. My guys enjoy working with them. We have a really great relationship. Part of my new guys' training is to go over, tour the fire department, see what equipment they have, and pretty much we help each other out on calls nonstop. So it's a really good relationship. It's a not necessarily a rare thing, but it's a good thing to have between police and fire, the relationship, so. Other than that, that should be all they have to me.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What qualifies as elderly? Like, should people be checking on me, or should I be checking
Well,
on
see,
people
we-
like John?
we
Check on myself.
My neighbor checks on me.
We personally assigned Officer Robinson to you.
Now see, Officer Kylan.
That's him.
He, okay, I only know.
Kylan,
He checked on me today. We actually solved a small crime together.
that's what he told me.
Yeah.
He said you were gonna bring it up tonight, so I was wondering if that's what you were gonna
Yes,
do.
yes.
So you found out where the package came from and,
Well, it was a suspicious package that was left, and the guy had a camera out taking pictures of the front of the building, and Kylan was asking me about it, and I'm like, I just thought it was a folded up box in there, so we went and investigated, and it was a delivery, and the place was closed, so he just left it out behind the smokers thing, so we solved that, it's all good.
see, we have them especially assigned to you to make sure you're safe at all
Thank you.
times.
I appreciate
Why
that.
don't we have her as a auxiliary? I mean,
It should go undercover.
I'd fall asleep.
I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned previously about having, is it Mark, trained for something?
EMR?
No,
That
no,
would've been-
but I heard that, but was this the same one that we wanted to create, was it another position? I'm thinking about, what was it?
Isn't he a,
Oh, a captain?
Yeah, you wanted to consider another position, some captain position or
I
something.
think,
at
because
some
he's
point.
a sergeant.
He's sergeant now, we have
Okay.
all the positions filled
but
right
is
now.
he a trainer?
He would be one of the training officers, yeah.
There was somewhere before I brought forth about creating a sergeant.
There was a second sergeant's position created.
Yes.
That was
Okay.
last year, it was approved, and we have the second sergeant promoted. and
Okay, I
everything.
thought it was still in the talks, that's why when he said, was this the same person?
No, this is a
Okay.
whole different thing, no, that whole sergeant thing's been
Great,
taken care of at the end of last year, I think.
right before we sat in, and so I
End
did
of
hear
last year,
about it,
first
I
part of
just
last-
didn't realize it was finalized.
So yeah, everything's been taken care of there, it's Officer Best Point, is now Sergeant Best Point, he's actually the one that set up our computers for us.
So it wasn't Mark,
It was not, Mark's
Okay.
already a sergeant.
alright,
Um,
just trying to make sense of everything.
Yeah, yes, no, other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chief. Village Administrator, you're up, sir.
Okay, water and wastewater, Debbie and I have gone over the finances for, when your grant goes to the small government grant, they give you a opportunity to adjust your scores. In other words, you can move the money around a little bit and change how much grant versus how much loan versus how much local share that you put towards it. You can increase your chances of being awarded something by changing the numbers. So Debbie and I went over that. I've informed the grant writer of some of the changes, and so those will be getting sent in tomorrow or Wednesday, I believe. We should hear back, I think it was sometime in March, on whether we get awarded. And that was for the county one rehab, where we're gonna replace the pumps and rebuild the cut well. Also, I'm still working with Wood on getting the generator hooked back up and getting the permanent meter and pole set up to finish from the accident that happened in 2019. That still hasn't been finished yet. I want to send out a attaboy to the wastewater department. The rain and the snow melt that we had the end of last week. We worked pretty diligently at keeping it out of basements in Wilmot, and we were successful for the most part. So no further damage there, and they actually handled things quite well. And we're gonna be shorthanded this week. One of the wastewater operators is on vacation, and one of them is having some health issues in his family, so he's taking a couple days off. So I am very shorthanded in wastewater. That's why we were not there today, Bill. But you're still number one on the books for getting repaired. And I will be speaking with your contractor maybe to help us on our side as well to get that taken care of, Bill. So, I didn't know it was as extreme as you just said, so.
It's gotten worse, in the last week, it's lost even more, so I don't know where it's at. And honestly, if he could do, maybe he could dig everything at one time, that would be even better yet,
I'm
so,
gonna talk to him about that.
perfect, thank you.
And then, we're also gonna look at this one behind the police station, the leak that's back there. I've spoken with, a couple of the other departments about helping us possibly get that taken care of as well in a timely manner, so we can get past these leaks that we have. Also, I'm reaching out to a bunch of, well, I shouldn't say a bunch, several contractors, because our Class 2 wastewater operator is retiring on Monday, and that leaves us without a Class 2 operator in wastewater. So that means I have to have one here within 30 days from his retirement. And I am not a Class 2, neither is Jason. So I have to find somebody that'll fill that void for an extended period of time, so either Jason gets his Class 2 or we find another option. But according to the EPA, we have to have an operator of the class that we are in the plant for 20 hours a week. So there will be some prices involved in that. I'm working on getting those prices right now, and I'll have something hopefully by next council meeting that we can talk about. The mayor and I are gonna start our interviews hopefully this week for the street superintendent, assistant street superintendent position. I have probably 5 or 6 applicants for that, so we'll start looking at them, looking at the requirements, and try hopefully making a choice there real soon to get somebody started in that position. Also, hopefully everyone got a chance to look at the 2 pole attachment agreements that we had. And I would ask council again to give me permission to sign those so that we can move forward with those agreements. I'm sorry.
Do we just need to make a motion on those, or is something for his, pool attachment?
Attachments.
This one's permission.
Yeah, I think there'd be a voice vote motion authorizing him to sign. I think it's VA, you may have statutory authority
Oh, he does.
to sign, but it ties things up if everybody knows and votes on it.
I'll make a motion,
Go ahead.
No, go.
for an attachment to the poles by, I can't remember the name, Jim.
There's one for Charter Communications and there's one for Everstream
That's
Communications.
Okay, it was a motion by Schott, second by Balter? Or was it? Nate, I'm sorry. I don't know all your voices. Balter,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Last week we started line clearance for our power lines that are north of the village limits on State Route 93. Our guys usually do majority of the line clearance. In other words, it's trimming the trees around the power lines. But being that it's outside the village and it's along a state route, I had to hire a traffic control crew, and then I also contracted with a outside contractor to do the trimming for us. We started that last week. We've got down all the way from the village limits to the intersection of 62, and this morning we started on 62 at the intersection, and we're going to our limits, which is just, I think it's just this side of Stoneford, or Stone Avenue. We go out quite a ways there on 62 towards Wilmot. They started on that today, so hopefully they get through that. And if I still have a little bit left, we're gonna go from 250 at across from the Army Navy and go south from there. So we kind of budgeted a certain amount for that. It buys us about 10 days. We're about 4 days into that, 5 days. So we're doing pretty good actually with that. And I wanted to tell you also that last week on Thursday, we had the rain and the wind. the fact that we haven't done line clearance in quite some time, it cost us two outages over there on 62, so, or I believe one was 62 and one was on Portland. But it was because the tree limbs were getting into the wires wet, and it caused an outage. And as far as anything else, I got the code red. If I could ask council to continue to motivate people to sign up for that. We have plans on sending out some notifications to people. We talked about some of them at the utility committee meeting. It's a good thing, and it's handy to have when we do have issues that come up. And also, Debbie brought up about the cemetery. I'm waiting to hear back from Mr. Schneider, another contractor that could possibly help us with pouring those pads. So when I hear from him, I'll provide council with that price as well. And that's all I have.
Thank you. All right. Solicitor Babbitt.
Two things real quick. First is the ongoing saga with the abandoned vehicles. The paperwork for all of that is with the clerk. There's a supervisor who's been helping me named Brandy, who's been very helpful. As it turns out, one of the motor vehicles, the Cadillac, was transferred to junk status, which, as I understand it, means it's akin to the vehicle blows up and it just doesn't exist. It will never have a title. So the logical question I had is, it didn't blow up, it's sitting there. So what she had said to me is, they have to send something to Columbus to actually get approval to issue a title for that vehicle. The other one, there shouldn't be any problem, but that's in process, as I understand it, all going through the clerk. And like I said, she's been extremely helpful. She understands it better than I do. So I don't think it's going to be too much longer, but kind of out of our hands right now. The only other thing is House Bill 51. Everybody should have received an email. If anybody didn't, let me know, because I don't have your email. But the governor signed House Bill 51 into law last week, which probably not going to be very necessary. I know everybody shows up for meetings, but if there ever were a situation where we needed to have a virtual meeting, say we're under the gun to hire somebody for wastewater and we are not able to get a quorum together, it's a great option that, you know, if you can only get 2 people here, 1 person here, but we can get 3 on a Zoom call, it is available as an option, virtual public meetings, at least through June 30th of this year. So it's good to know, like I said, regular meetings maybe not going to be of much use, but if we find ourselves in a bind and we need to get something passed, it definitely makes it a lot easier for somebody even to just pick up the phone, dial in, put them on speakerphone. So other than that, I don't have anything unless anybody has any questions.
Just a quick question. The one time when Sean wasn't here and we had him on
Yes.
Zoom or whatever, but he wasn't allowed to participate.
Correct.
In that case, he would be allowed to participate then?
He would be allowed to participate, to speak, to vote, and his vote
Okay.
would be the same as if he was here.
Okay, good.
June 30th?
They limited it to June 30th. I think it's like a trial run, a second
I was
trial
wondering why
run.
they were doing that, because COVID is
No, but after the,
going, well, supposedly going on.
yeah, after the first round of doing it during COVID,
Right,
I think there's a lot of government entities that really liked it.
nobody wants to go to the meeting.
Well, yeah,
Right.
nobody wants to go to the meeting, but it also, we have a 6-member board, so if we can get 4 together, we can do things. If you're a board of township trustees, you have 3. You know, one person is out, you better both agree on everything else that's coming before you, because if not, you're not gonna be able to get a lot of things done. Same with county commissioners, there's 3 county commissioners. So I do think that there's maybe more value for these smaller public bodies that, you know, you can get a quorum together, even if 1 or 2 people can't make it, so.
All right. You know, talk about solar.
Just briefly, we had a conversation with Solar Planet and AMP. We're continuing to work through it to see if there's a solution that the 2 of them can come to that'll fix the issue. Generally, where we find ourselves is First Energy through AMP is asserting that we're in breach of their interconnection agreement where we connect to First Energy. And if that is true, and we aren't entirely convinced that it is, but if it is, then the only cause that could exist for that would be the interconnection at the solar field. So what we've expressed is the position that we find ourselves at risk of dual breach. If we disconnect their field, we solve this one, but we're in breach potentially the solar planet. And if we don't fix it, we're in breach to First Energy. So ultimately, the contract is very clear in my view. It'd be a court that would finally tell us if it is as clear as I think, in that the obligation for the interconnection for the solar field is on Solar Planet. And there's some other provisions in there that I think would shift liability to them. And definitely, I think that'll be our position, you know, going forward, is that this isn't our responsibility. And if it is, then, you know, maybe we can temporarily halt the solar field till we can figure all this out, you know. So, still working on it, hoping to hear something back in the coming days or weeks. But I don't think they're gonna disconnect the tower in the near term, so that's good.
Yep, you made Perry Mason proud that day. I'm serious, he did some good lawyering that day. So, yeah, the contract, I looked at it, and it's right there, it just says they're responsible for everything, maintenance, putting everything in the whole deal, so. But, we'll see what happens. So, did you have anything, Mary Beth, a report or anything? I know we had to
Just to
find-
follow up from the parks conversation that we
Yeah, I was
talked
wondering
about
if you
before.
wanted.
I did speak with the superintendent of Fearless Schools, just to ask about what is, you know, the responsibilities of the maintenance of not just the grass, but the fields, the sand, bases, fences, everything of such. He said what he wanted to do was go back and research a little bit, and so he did. When the schools were leveled and agreements were made between Brewster and Navarre, back into the late 80s, early 90s, they had agreements, but there is absolutely none for Beach City.
He sent this one, I know. and then-
So we kind of just assumed we knew we had to take care of it, but the problem incurred when, I mentioned to him that, you know, my son is involved, and I was told by the coaches that our fields were too deteriorated, they did not want to use them anymore. So I said, well, who is responsible, you know, can we just clarify it? So what he wants to do is actually have a formal agreement put in place. It was going to be done for tonight, but he called and said that he's sorry it's not, so it'll be ready soon, but it's not here for us now. But until then, we are to have full use of the parks, just as we thought we could. As far as maintenance, like the fields and the bases, he does want, the ball association to take care of that. He said some coaches are better than others, and that's where it's failed. So, once all that's laid out, you know, we'll have it in a contract. But I did ask also about renting it, because we have the bigger ones down at the Riverside, so we named it.
No, we haven't named that, no.
Informally named it.
Riverside Parks.
We do rent those sometimes, or we could for the adult, but for the ones up here, they're 8U and under, so no adult traveling team is gonna use those. But if someone were to want to use it for a private baseball party, you know, kids party, when they rent the pavilion, we're allowed to do so, and the contract he will present to us, we'll have that literature in there too. As far as fencing, that would be us, benches, us. As far as sand, bases, that's usually the association. So that was the gist of the conversation, it'll come formally later.
No,
And we do want, sorry, I did have a conversation then with Vance Weeks, who's in charge of the ball situation. He did want to ask if coaches could have a key for the bathroom. He explained, well, it would save some money because they wouldn't have to put a portage on there. So that question did come to him. I thought we had said no before, but I asked him to formally ask again. so far he's had coaches out of their own pockets fill the fields with sand. So they're working on some fundraising possibilities to raise some money to help care for that. So in that discussion, I had the idea, called like a volunteer day. I don't know if it would be a part of the community. I'd like to see us all kind of jump out, council members, anyone in the village who wants to kind of jump together on spring. The goal that Hazel had set forth was to have our concessions open for every game to help, raise some money that way. Schedules are not ready yet. They're gonna be coming out soon. But I thought if we could just kind of think about that and try to help get everything ready for this spring and these teams. Just an idea.
Sounds good.
So that's what I'm working on.
All right, anything else?
Um,
No, okay, we'll get to them, all right.
Well, I was just gonna say, weren't there utility meetings and.
Oh, I'm
finance
sorry,
meetings?
yeah, I'm sorry,
They have
Nathan, yeah.
committees,
Yes.
committee notes now there.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, the utility committee meeting met last Thursday, the 17th. We reviewed the leak detection survey, which was done December 1st, 21. There were identified 3 remaining leaks, and Mr. Spivey outlined the plan of correction for those as being 2 of them should be corrected by the end of this month. The last one had not been evaluated at that point. However, from earlier conversation in the meeting tonight, that was the leak that was identified by our fire chief. So that one, I guess, is in process of, that has been evaluated, and there's a plan moving forward to take care of that. No?
I thought the one that was not evaluated was the one down
Down by the park.
by the park.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry, Nathan.
Yeah.
The Chiefs was first on the list.
Okay. Well, I apologize also, I had surgery earlier today, and I may not be thinking so clearly.
Okay.
We reviewed the water meter replacement data. There have been 145 meters replaced in town since 2008. There's approximately 300 more to go. There is a cost estimate at present of about $200 per replacement, but there's no scheduled replacement schedule in place for completion of that. The plan is that those will be corrected as they fail. There was a proposal also for water meter reading technology. Mr. Spivey presented information from Itron, which is the company that we also work with for our electric utility. And there was a quote for the hardware cost to accomplish that of $33,487 with an annual maintenance by that supplier fee of $1,608. The last item of business during that meeting was a proposal to communicate with the citizens, customers of the utilities, what actions the committee is taking and council is taking to address the situation with our utilities at present with water. Ideas that were presented, one was a town hall meeting. The one that seemed to have wider acceptance was an addition to the utility bill, like a single page information sheet. And if there are ideas for what you would exactly like to have put on that, I can put that together so that it would be available for the next mailing of utility bills.
Thank you, Nathan. All right, we got anything else?
Did you do a finance meeting?
Correct.
One more.
That's right, that was 2 weeks, or 3 weeks ago.
No, it was 2 weeks ago, finance meeting was. Or no, it was the day before we did the utility.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Park meeting was the one
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Wasn't much for that day. We didn't have any new business coming forward, so the idea was just to establish, an understanding. So we got a chance to Q&A with Deb, review and understand the accounts, our appropriations, funds and bills. We did talk about a park fund and what we needed to do with that. It does fall underneath of general. Is that right, Deb? You said it falls
Currently it
under
does.
General, so that's where that sits. No appropriation will be given specifically for parks, but it is in general. So there really wasn't much more than that.
And you said currently that does, so does that mean in the future it could be different?
I think we all need to read the revised code. I know that
Well, I know.
some of what the solicitor sent, and then, go from there. But yeah, we've always had a parks appropriation.
Right.
Mostly what I pay out of parks right now has been, this has been since I started, have been the wages, and of course the benefits was the taxes and the insurance. And then there's supplies and materials. Sometimes I think I got fuel out there. I mean, we can add all those other accounts if we have enough money to expense it out of. We can always add those. As far as, going into a new account, we need to see what's out there, what we can, what would be the option of setting up a new account that would run through general. And then, talk to the state of Ohio. The auditors haven't told me when they're coming in yet. So when they come in, I can bring that up to them, of what they would suggest, of how to track the money and follow it.
Okay, I just caught that currently. So-
Yeah, it's I mean, currently it's all I'm spending is little bits.
And
That's a-
I do have another question. This was with our paperwork, this agreement with Solicitor Batty. Are we supposed to do something like that tonight, or?
Did I give you an ordinance?
And
I
is
caught
this
one.
the same word as on the other?
I took his other you did the contract, I sent it to him.
Should be exactly the same as 21, 20 to 22.
Okay, that was my, I just wasn't sure, so.
With the exception of the date, and then I left the term blank. So if you wanted it for 2 weeks, you could do 2 weeks. If you wanted it for a year, you could do a
Then we'd
year.
have to come have special meetings
Just to do
for
it.
2 more weeks, yeah.
2
Are we
years
doing
is
anything with that sort of thing?
I did that, I thought I did an ordinance for it, but I don't have it in my packet either.
Yeah, no, I don't have an
So I made,
ordinance for
just
it.
made it for you guys to look at now.
Okay. I just, we didn't mention it, so I didn't.
Thank you, and I'm wondering if I looked at it, just didn't go back and finish it, because I was sort of copying and pasting again. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to back up, the parks that I was talking about, the volunteer day, am I correct that last year you and Amy did like flowers and something to shoot, was it before Memorial Day, or?
We didn't do parks, we always
You
tried
did
to,
like around here?
we
I-
have here
My
in the
thought was
cemetery.
to include other properties, not just Ball Fields Park. I was thinking of Village Hall, like the way you guys did your flowers, the police station. My thought is broader than what I said, so I just want to clarify that.
I do my best to get it done, but.
Yeah, I just thought it, the way you guys did it last year, you had it done before the parade and that sort, it would be in the same sense, do the same things, just with a larger group of people.
You didn't have a parade last year.
I don't remember.
No, because
I think it was
one
still-
time here.
Want it done before Memorial Day.
Yes, we
Yeah.
wanted everything done before, but if you could get volunteers, that'd be wonderful.
That's the idea, is not just the parks, the Village Hall, the police station, whatever needs done for spring.
I've got all kinds of ideas.
So why they used to shoot me down.
You gonna take care of the White House?
I'll take their ideas and
The
you tell
White
me.
House, you gonna take care of that one too? The White House.
I have been around to donate
Put up the flowers and all
I seem to buy,
I know that he has
donate,
a
move.
son with a strong back.
The sun?
Yeah. Right.
Here's a pretty good copy.
I know.
Your back, okay.
Yes.
All right.